I was in the minivan, Dad's new car, driven only 930 miles. Dad driving, sister in the front car, me and a brother in the back seat, my husband behind me in the far back seat. I waited so we could go to my mother's services. Well, they weren't services. She didn't want that. But Dad thought the kids would want to see my mother before she was cremated. So there we were, the family, in ties, black dresses, sitting and waiting in our little hearse to drive to Fuller Funeral Home for our final visit. We were in the car. My husband was in the far back seat, and he knew I was sad. He sensed I was crying while the hearse took us to the funeral parlor, and he reached his hand forward to take my hand, to touch my shoulder, to something. And I couldn't see his face, but his hand was a grave consolation as our hearse rolled on to our chance to say farewell. I was trying to not cry in that ride in that hearse to the funeral parlor. I've been a good Marine. I've been trained to not cry, but I couldn't help the tears at this point. And I did my best to stifle them so that no one would consider my sniffling and no one would question my faltering emotions. Once we arrived, I think we were all afraid to go into that room to see her. Well, I can't speak for anyone else. I know I was afraid. Afraid of what I'd see, afraid of I don't know what. Afraid of the finality of it all. Just afraid. So, I'm the littlest one. Of course, I let everyone else go in front of me and go before me. And they're supposed to want to see her more. That's what I hear. And we walked in, and there were many seats. And you could see her face, asleep, peeking out of the coffin in the distance. And we all just instinctively sat down. Dad finally walked to her. He knelt before her coffin. We watched him watch her, pray for her, talk to her. And I don't know what he was communicating with her when he was with her, but we all wanted that with her one more time. One sister went next, knelt, cried, then a brother, then another brother. And I watched this procession of family members, all older than me, all seemingly more important, all with more history with her than me, and my husband asked if I wanted him to go with me when I walked up to see my mother that first time. And I thought, no, I need to do this myself. I finally walked up to her, knelt before her, looked at her in the dress that she wore to my wedding, and she looked so beautiful. She looked so peaceful. She looked like she was sleeping, and I hadn't seen her that peaceful in a long time. Every time I came to visit her since the disease started, she always looked tired when she was awake. Otherwise, she was asleep, and she looked fitful in her rest. I looked at her eyebrows, and they were penciled in very nicely, and I looked down at her nails, and they were all long, very nicely painted. And the earrings we picked up for her to wear, oh, they were so dainty, and they were so lovely. And she looked so peaceful that all I kept thinking was that she just looked so well rested, like she was just taking a good nap, and that she would be just fine. She had to be. I looked at my mother one last time. These coming thoughts would be my final words to her face. This would be the last time I saw her. Make it good, girl. You're the one with the words. Tell her what you mean in 50 words or less. That's how these services go, right? I told her that I loved her. And I told her that I hoped that I carry on any of her kindness, because that's how she will live on. because the world is filled with people who aren't nice, who aren't kind, and losing her makes this world a worse place. People have told me that I am kind, that I am nice, and I only hope that I do you justice, and I can somehow make this world a better place, like you did. I only hope that I can do the world justice, because the world needs you now, Mom, and you had to leave us. So what do we do now? Before I left her that first time, I started to run my hands along my chest into a cross, because I wanted the spirits to know that you are there and that you are to be welcomed, because you are blessed, even if it's only from the likes of me.
No.